Today's sermon, hopefully, is going to be very significant for you. Of course, you know we've been talking about the series, The Occult of Religion, and some of the things that were misconstrued or misunderstood, things that are meant to deceive you or divert you from understanding what the real message that Christ here has for us. This is a personal sermon for me because it's really what made the difference. And the title of this sermon is A Flip of Faith. And what we're going to be discussing here is how the meaning of some things were altered or changed. And I can't say that all of that is because of intent, but some of it was due to language barriers, misunderstandings, or even just culture and customs that we have nowadays. But I think we can all agree that most of us were taught and led to believe that believing in Jesus means agreeing in our heads that he existed and that the things that were said were factual. Of course, we all believe that he died on the cross, and we believe the stories in the Bible are true. If you accept those facts, we all believe that you were saved and that everything's fine. But I want to clarify that that is not what Jesus meant. I think we're well aware that even demons believe these things. Satan believes these things. He knows them to be true. They know God is real, and they know who Jesus is. And it doesn't change a thing for them or their nature. Just agreeing with something, or just agreeing that something is real or true, is not enough. I'm going to repeat that again because that is the key to this sermon. Just agreeing that something is real or true is not enough. That is not the point. The original word in Hebrew for faith is emunah. That's the word that Jesus used, and it doesn't mean to think or to believe. It surely doesn't mean the same believe that we use today. It means steadfast trust. It does not mean to think that something is real. It means steadfast trust. Now think of that in the context of every story you've read in the Bible, everything you've read about what Christ said about faith, and change that word with thinking to trust. It starts to carry a little bit different weight. It means firmness. It means loyalty. It means leaning your whole weight on him and staying there. It's the same root as the word amen. That's where that word comes from. When Jesus said, "Believe in me," he was saying, trust me. And trust yourself to me. Hand me your life and live the way that I showed you to live. It does not mean think that I'm real. It means trust me. And that's really the key to it all. That one little change has changed our perception on how we're supposed to follow Christ. That one little change. And we don't think it does, but I assure you it does. So from now on, when you see that phrase, believe, in your head, I want you to replace it with trust. When you see the word have faith, I want you to replace it with trust. Lean your life on him. Stay loyal to him. And do what he showed us to do. So for nearly 2,000 years, a lot of what we call Christianity or religion, our language, our culture changes, they have flipped that meaning. It's turned real trust into something a lot smaller. You hear, just believe the right facts about Jesus and you're good. If you have a mental agreement. And that's just checkbox faith. And just believing the right facts has led to nothing but division and centuries of people arguing about which facts are the right facts. I know we've seen a lot of arguments. And if there's one thing I'm absolutely sick and tired of, is seeing people argue over this fact, that fact, which denomination, which doctrine. They argue about which creed is correct, or which way you're supposed to read Paul, or which way you're supposed to read the end times, or baptism. Constant argument. Or which group has it all figured out. See, the biggest problem is that this version of belief, this mental agreement, it lets you keep living the same way everybody else in the world lives. You chase the same things. You treat people the same way. You stay in the kingdom of man and its ways, and you add on top of it, well, I believe in Jesus. So people don't really change. They just add that phrase in, that I believe in Jesus, and that makes me saved. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And they think they're doing it right. It looks like faith, but it doesn't actually change how you do life day to day. That is not what Christ intended for us. See, real trust in him means you cannot live the way the world lives. You cannot. They collide with one another. They are the opposites of one another. You learn to love your enemies instead of getting even. That collides with this world. You turn the other cheek. You forgive people, even when they keep hurting you. That doesn't vibe with this world. That goes against all the advice any therapist or anyone else out there will give you. You take care of the poor and the people nobody else wants to deal with. How many of us have been guilty of feeling like we're a better class than someone else? I have.
Me too.
I've caught myself avoiding people because maybe they weren't at the same level I thought I was at. You're supposed to take care of those people. Another sign of this is that you have to stop condemning others. And you have to stop worrying so much about everything. I had one word here about things to quit worrying about, but let me rephrase that. You have to quit worrying about everything. Particularly money. That's one of them highlights. Tomorrow. It's another one of them highlights. And what people think. I'm way more guilty of that than I want to admit.
Yeah.
You serve instead of trying to get ahead. Oh, I'm way guilty of that. I'm trying. I'm getting better. You live open-handed instead of grabbing everything you can. When you learn to live this way, you become free. That's what freedom is. That's what we're looking for. That's not that land of the free, home of the brave, free. That's not that ask permission to feed your family or build a house, free. That's real freedom. What this is a completely different way of being human. It is not what you mentally agree with. It is not what you think is right. None of those things have any bearing on what salvation is whatsoever. What salvation is a completely different way of being human. It's not a small change. It's not a just Sunday thing. It's how you think and how you treat people every day. And this will put you at odds with how our society works. I want us to understand that sin, it is not about cigarettes or cuss words or other outward stuff people like to preach against. Those can cause you to sin. Those can bring you problems. But the heart of how sin is and what sin is how you treat people. Refusing to forgive people, that's sin. Judging others while ignoring your own faults, that's sin.
Yep.
Hating people who don't agree with you or who may be against you, that's sin. Ignoring the people in need, that's sin. Living for ourselves first, that's sin. Nobody want to hear that one. It's all about me, my dreams, my plans, my aspirations, the legacy I leave behind. That's sin. And that's sin on a higher level than what we normally preach against.
Yeah.
We're so worried about what people do in their personal lives, we're not even stopping and looking about what we're doing on the inside. Feels good to stand up here and point a finger at somebody and say, you shouldn't be going out them juke joints. You shouldn't be drinking that alcohol. You shouldn't be smoking them cigarettes. I heard Brother so-and-so slip up and say the D word the other day. We're more worried about that and preaching against that in church than we are about the things that actually matter. And we don't change the things that actually matter. The time that Christ spent here, Christ spent that time with the people who did the obvious wrong things on the outside. He ate with them. He hung out with them. Slept in their houses with them. But he showed them how to love one another. How to love other people. But it came down hardest on the religious people. The people who looked good on the outside, who believed they followed all the rules and all the Torah laws, but they treated others with hardness and contempt. See, when you see what trust really means, all of that arguing between denominations or what you think or what you believe, when you understand what it actually means to trust God and how to live that life, all those arguments fall away. They don't mean nothing anymore. All the Paul, the creeds, the end times, the tithing systems, all those other things fall away. What you're supposed to eat, what you're not supposed to eat. Oh, that's meaningless. It's meaningless. And for us to waste our time arguing over it and dividing ourselves over it, It's sin. Because if you're arguing with someone over what you think you're supposed to eat, what you ain't supposed to eat, this and that, for one, are you following all those laws? You might not be eating bacon, but are you washing your hands at the appropriate times? So can't nobody follow all that. And for you to chastise other people for not following it, that's just a form of self-righteousness. It means you think you're better than somebody else. That's sin. Those things are not the main thing. The main thing is simple. Are you trusting Christ enough to actually do what he directly commanded you to do? Are you learning to live the way that he taught us? That's it. Everything else is just noise. It's just background noise. Things to keep us divided, things to keep us arguing with one another, things to keep us unsure about where we stand with God. How many of you felt guilt because you may not have been following something that somebody told you you have to do?
Yeah.
That's why a lot of churches feel dead. That's why they feel dead to people who are looking for something real. They have spent so much time on the smaller things and the right facts, the right things to believe, that they have left the actual heart of what Jesus said on the side of the road. They've completely forgotten about the actual heart of what Christ was teaching. They're more concerned about the little things. They're more concerned about standing up there and feeling good because they can point their finger at somebody for something they don't do. That's what's pushed so many people away from church. And it's not about the building. It's not about the fact that we gather on Sundays. You have pushed them away from people who were supposed to be their backbone, who were supposed to be their support net, who's supposed to show them what love is. People get tired of the arguments. They get tired of the condemnation. They get tired of the performances, and they walk away. All of this ties straight back into the return of Christ. When Christ returns, he is not coming for people who mentally agree with the right facts, or people who adhered themselves to the right denomination. He's coming for the ones who trusted him with their actual lives enough to live it out. Remember that Jesus said that not everyone who calls him Lord will enter the kingdom.
That's right.
Who calls him Lord? Do the non-believers call him Lord? No. So who's he talking to?
Christians.
Us. The people that claim to know him. Only the ones who do the will of the Father, he told people who did miracles. People who called him Lord to depart because he never knew them. Let me re-emphasize that. He wasn't talking about the people who pretend to do miracles. You know, the world's full of those. He said the people that actually have done miracles. That's heavy. That's some serious stuff. These people out there actually putting it in. To be one of those people and to be told that I don't know you, then what were you doing it for? Yourself. You like the image that come out of it. You like the prestige that it had. Just like a lot of these televangelists love the power. They love the notoriety that they have. They love those things. I can't imagine being a person who has performed a miracle and being told by Christ that he doesn't know me. That's definitely not non-believer talk. He was talking to us. That is hard to imagine. But the problem is that they never entrusted their lives to him. And they didn't do what he said. That to me tells me that you can carry the outward appearance and the facade of being a follower of Christ and not actually be following him. The question that matters more than anything else, I think, is this: are we trusting him? Not, do you believe he's real? But have you handed your life over to his way? Are you learning to live the way he taught us to? Especially whenever it costs you what you have in this world. This has nothing to do with denominations or what facts you mentally agree with. This is a different way of being human. Put emphasis on that. This is about being a different form of human. This is what has been covered up or mixed up for over 2,000 years by layers of mental agreement or systems that let people stay comfortable in the world while thinking they are fine with God. This real trust lived out in normal life is what is going to bring people back. No more programs, not better music or bigger buildings or better air conditioning. Not more fights about whose facts are right. You are not going to argue somebody into church. You're not going to argue somebody into seeing salvation differently. Just regular people who are actually trying to live like Jesus did. Treating each other the way he told us to. Loving even when it's hard, and trusting even when it doesn't look smart by the world's rules. That's what's going to bring people back. That's what people are looking for. That's what stirs people up on the inside. And that's the Spirit working. We should not ignore that. Today can be the day that we move from just mental agreement and that checkbox stuff to real trust. We have to learn to entrust ourselves to him. To trust God, trust the Father, trust his plan. Lean our lives on him and start doing the things that Christ told us to do. And you only have to take it one day, one decision at a time. I think we're all well aware now that it is not easy. And we should be all well aware that the world does not understand this way of being a human. It will cost you in different ways, absolutely. But it's the only thing that is real. It's the only peace that is real. It's the only freedom that is real. Everything else fades. You go buy a new car, you might be happy for a moment until you have to pay that first repair, that first oil change.
Payments.
First payment. It's the only thing that's real. It's the only thing that matches what we see when we read the words of Jesus in the gospel. And I want to say it again so it sinks in. Faith is not about what you agree to in your head. It is not about what you agree to in your head. It is about who you trust enough to follow. It's about leaning on him and doing what he told us to do. And not just told us, he showed us. You cannot mix this life of following Christ with living for the kingdom of man. Hang it up. Can't do it. If you ain't ready to step all the way in, don't dip your toes in. Y'all ever jump in some cold water? You mess up, stick your foot in that cold water first, and you find out it's cold. I don't think I want to do that. Same thing. You better not test these waters. If you're going to jump in, you better jump in head first. But the two of these kingdoms cannot coincide with one another. The two ways are never going to fit together. You can't live man's way and you can't live God's way at the same time. One has to give way. See, most of us were raised in the world's way. All of us were. Can't say most of us anymore. All of us were raised in the world's way. So switching to God's way, it takes time. And it takes help from God and help from each other. It means that we have to be patient with each other as we learn. It means we have to stop pointing fingers at the small outward things and start looking at how we treat people. This is what the early followers were doing. They were learning a new way to be human together, a completely transformed way to live that did not agree with the way the rest of the world lived. They shared, they forgave, they loved across lines that kept the world separate. And we have a lot of lines nowadays that keep us separate. But most importantly, they trusted Jesus and they trusted God for their daily needs instead of worrying and grabbing. That is the big picture. We have gotten so far away from it over the centuries. But that does not mean we can't come back to it. And that's our mission here, is to lead people back to it. Not by arguing more about facts, but by trusting him and doing what he said. If you hear this and you have been worn out by all the church stuff and all the religion stuff, this is for you. The real thing is simpler and harder at the same time. Simpler because the main thing is clear. Harder because it actually requires your life to do it. But remember to start small. Pick one thing that Jesus said and do it this week. Just one. Forgive somebody who doesn't deserve it. Help somebody who can't pay you back. And you know they can't. Don't snap back when someone wrongs you. Don't catch an attitude with somebody because you don't like the way they said something to you. Don't worry about that next bill. Trust God for what you need today. And let him know that you're entrusting yourself to him. Talk to him. Let him know. I won't trust you with this. It's okay to ask for help, to live it out. That's what it means when you ask and you shall receive. Not just asking God for a new car or a bigger house, for your kid to quit talking so much. We can do this. We will do this. And we'll do it together. This is what church is supposed to be. People learning to trust Christ. People learning to trust God. People learning to love one another. And to live the way that Christ commanded us to live.